needs to be adjusted on the screw there. I'll let you know. I'll just take this off. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopijana Ballabha Giridhari Gopijana Ballabha Giridhari Ballabha Giridhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Ballabha Giridhari Giridhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giridhari Gopi Jana Giridhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Nandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopijana Ballabha Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Nandana Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Banachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Ram Ram Jaya Radha Govardhana Radha Govardhana Radha Govardhana Radha Govardhana Radha Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhana Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhana Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhana Jaya Giri Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitai Gaura Deva 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 Nitai Gaura Deva 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 Nitai Gaura Deva Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govardhana Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, Text 48. Savai Mahabhagavato Mahatma Mahanubhavo Mahatam Mahishtaha Pravrida Bhaktya Yanubhavita Shaye Nivesya Vaikuntam Imam Vihasyati Savai Mahabhagavato Mahatma Mahanubhavo Mahatam Mahishtaha Pravrida Bhaktya Yanubhavita Shaye Nivesya Vaikuntam Imam Vihasyati. Mahatma Vaishnavis. Savai Mahabhagavato Mahatma Mahanubhavo Mahatam Mahishtaha Pravrida Bhaktya Yanubhavishatasaye Nivesya Vaikuntam Imam. Word for word. Sa, he, vai, certainly. Mahabhagavata, the topmost devotee. Mahatma, expanded intelligence. Mahanubhava, expanded influence. Mahatam, of the great souls. Mahishta, the greatest. Pravrida, well matured. Bhaktya, by devotional service. He, certainly. Anubhavita, being situated in the Anubhava stage of ecstasy. Ashaye, in the mind. Niveshya, entering. Vaikuntham, in the spiritual sky. Imam, this material world. Vihasyati, will quit. Translation: that topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence, and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in a transcendental ecstasy, and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. Purport: there are 3 stages of transcendental development in devotional service, which are technically called Sthai Bhava, Anubhava, and Mahabhava. Continual perfect love of Godhead is called Sthai Bhava, and when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it is called Anubhava. But the stage of Mahabhava is visible amongst the personal pleasure potencies of the Lord. It is understood that the grandson of Diti, namely Prahlad Maharaj, would constantly meditate on the Lord and reiterate his activities. Because he would constantly remain in meditation, he would easily transfer himself to the spiritual world after quitting his material body. Such meditation is still more conveniently performed by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord. This is especially recommended in this age of Kali. Savai Maha Bhagavato Mahatma Mahanubhavo Mahatam Mahishta Pravrita Bhaktya Hyanubhavita Nivesha Vaikuntam Imam Vihasyati. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence, and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy, and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. So, describing the qualities of, or continuing to describe the great qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, even though Didi was going to give birth to 2 asuras. Sometimes can happen in a family. Their parents are devotees, and the children turn out not to be devotees, and sometimes can act very asuric, or can be the other way around, as the case here. The parents were asuras, but the children are devotees, and sometimes can happen, parents, children, grandchildren. So it can be a mix. Every devotee, of course, who has children wants their children to grow up and be great devotees. And of course, they're coming into a devotee family. They are devotees, but being sometimes influenced by external factors, that they can go into a very materialistic lifestyle. So that's considered some temporary situation, and of course one is exercising their own free will as to how they act and what they do. So it's not necessarily the case that someone is a devotee, parents are devotee, the children will automatically be devotees. Each individual has to make their own decision and commitment to being a devotee and following the path of devotional service. So, of course, Didi, this is all, of course, transcendental Leela, and all arranged ultimately by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We were mentioning, the question was asked yesterday, as far as Hiranyakashipu, they were liberated because of the influence of Prahlad, because of the prayer of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev to forgive his father and bless him. Of course, because it's transcendental Leela, they had other births to come and fulfill the different Leelas of the Supreme Lord in different forms. Then they were taken, this is called, what's technically called Mama Sayuja. Mama Sayuja, they went and the Lord placed them within his own body until their next birth. And so this is a type of sayuja. It's not very common, very exceptional type of liberation. It's a liberation, and it's generally for those who are participating in the Lord's Leela. Sometimes they act like asuras, and they're kept for some time, especially if they have to come again and again. So this Amama Sayuja was the situation with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and in the next birth they came back as next birth Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and then the next birth Shishupal and Dantavakra, and then finally in Chaitanya, Jagai and Madai. So they came 4 times. Of course, they were in their very lives in Chaitanya Leela, they were transformed from asura to suras, to great devotees, became great devotees. So it was a little bit different in that Leela. They started off in one way and ended up in another way in that very life. But anyway, in between though, in the previous birth, they were kept by the Lord and then came forward when the Lord desired to manifest that particular Leela. But here we're reading about Prahlad Maharaj. Now Prahlad Maharaj is a Nitya Siddha, and here these terms are used, the greatest of the great souls. It's just glorifying the position of Prahlad Maharaj. He's always situated in Vaikuntha, and the word I think Vaikuntham is used, in the spiritual sky, in the Vaikuntha, on the planet of Lord Nrsingadev. Of course, there Lord Nrsingadev is manifest in 4-handed Vishnu form, but he's always in eternal Leela with the Lord in his own abode in the spiritual world, and he descends to assist the Lord. There's one story in the Nrsinga Purana where just before the Lord appeared, when one time when Hiranyakashipu was trying to have him killed, nothing worked, and they tied him up with ropes and weighed him down with rocks and threw him in the ocean, so he would sink. And then but the ocean, Samudra, the waves carried him in, and the Lord Varuna came and untied him, and then Prahlad Maharaj was just completely unaffected and just prayed to have continuous remembrance of the Supreme Lord. And that was actually Lord Samudra who informed him that, or Varuna, I think he manifests as Varuna, and informed him the Lord will give you his darshan. And just after that, the Lord manifests to him. And it is actually, he manifests in the Vishnu form, and then he manifests his Nrsinga form. So before Lord Nrsingadev appeared, Prahlad Maharaj had that vision of, he was overwhelmed in ecstasy. So in the Nrsinga Purana that's mentioned that he actually anticipated, and the Lord told him that I will come and deal with the situation. And so he had that vision beforehand. And so he was expecting the Lord to come at any time. Of course, because of that, he was, he wasn't bothered by anything Hiranyakashipu was going to do from that point on. But because he was, even before that point, he was always continuously absorbed in meditation, as mentioned here, on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just became fearless. Because ultimately, when we're totally in meditation on the Supreme Lord, then that is, we're in our spiritual existence. And that spiritual existence and the material existence, the material body, is inconsequential. So in one sense, Prahlad Maharaj was not very concerned about his material body. He was absorbed on the spiritual platform in union with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that sense, a devotee becomes fearless. What is it that can do any harm to the spirit soul? Can there be any arrangement of harm to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Of course, Hiranyakashipu was always threatening to take action against Vishnu. We know his brother Hiranyaksha challenged Lord Vishnu personally. and he was dealt with by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, of course, the Lord appeared as Lord Nrsingadev. So that no one can do any harm to the Lord, and actually no one can do any harm to his devotee, especially someone who's absorbed, spiritually speaking. So therefore, that is abhaya. And one can only come to this abhaya when one is fully immersed. And here it is mentioned, the greatest of the great souls, topmost devotee. These are the types of terms used to describe Prahlad Maharaj. He will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence. There are two other terms used here, interesting. Expanded intelligence. In the spiritual sense, we have in the world, even in the Kali Yuga, many very intelligent people capable of very extraordinary things. But that's on the mundane platform, and it's all relative. Someone is more intelligent, the other one is more intelligent. But it's a very minuscule compared to, it's just shallow. It only goes so deep. Deep is spiritual intelligence. And so someone who's very, very advanced on the spiritual platform will have this expanded intelligence, and especially in regard to performing devotional service, and especially in regard to meditating on the Supreme Personality of God. So we'll have this expanded intelligence, how to engage in these things. We'll see very clearly how to separate these things from the material activities. Very, very clear. I mean, we read the instructions and the commentaries given by great acharyas. They're so clear, they're so deep in their realization. This comes from transcendental intelligence. This comes from this expanded intelligence. It's practically unlimited. One can become empowered by the Supreme Lord to have almost unlimited intelligence to act in certain ways. And they have realizations about a spiritual life, about devotional service, going right up to the topmost levels with such clarity due to this expanded intelligence. They have so much knowledge about the material world and the interactions of the material nature, and knowing that the living entity, they have so much information and realization and understanding of the jiva in the material world and the interactions. And we read these commentaries of the great acharyas, great, very, very advanced personalities. They're so clear, so deep. They know so many aspects of material interactions even, and how it affects the jiva. It's very amazing when you read these things. It's not that some mundane commentary. They have these realizations from within, and their intelligence is given and expanded by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of God. Now, due to that, of course, the other term used here is expanded influence. Expanded influence. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said there are ordinary living entities, and some of them are pious. And then out of those pious, they take up the path of religiosity. Out of those, some come to the position of being a devotee. Now, there's all levels of devotee, he goes on to comment. All levels of devotee. But they're very great devotees, the very, very advanced devotees are rare. And they're very, very rare. So the very great devotees can act in wondrous ways and have unlimited amounts of influence also. With just a few words, they can have a maximum effect. Maximum effect. And actually, Prabhupada said that. One time he said that. The difference, when someone asked, what's some of the qualities of a great devotee? He answers in a very short way. He said, the great devotee, he said that minimum words, maximum effect. Minimum words, maximum effect. So this is influence. Influence. It's Shakti. It's Shakti. There's material power, but that's relative. But Daiva Shakti, a spiritual power, that is the influence that's really referred to here. Shakti. And so that, of course, can be there in a devotee. And when one comes to the position of great devotee, that Shakti is so powerful that they can do miraculous things. And I remember I was at a Pandal program in Hyderabad. Prabhupada was giving a series of lectures. And when was this? 1975, I think that was. And one lady asked, she got up and asked, she said that, Swamiji, we have many here and they can do many miracles. I always remember this. They can show miracles. Can you do any miracles? And then Prabhupada said, he just gestured to all of us who were sitting on the stage. He said, yes, they are the miracle. They are the miracle. Before they were living such materialistic, sinful lives, and now they've transformed into great saintly Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. This is a miracle. And everyone, and all the devotees, Haribol, all the whole crowd, Haribol. There's a lot of people out there. And so this is the miracle. So this is an astounding thing, considering the backgrounds of most of us. Of course, some of you may be already very, very advanced when you came to the movement, but most of us were coming from very kind of lowly type of backgrounds, and then the transformation almost overnight. And the Prabhupada asked us to look like devotees with the tilak and sari and dhoti and everything like that. You look like you come from, when I see you like this, one comedy made, you look like you're from Vaikuntha. You're Vaikuntha, you're very bright. You're very bright and effulgent. But this is automatically the situation when one takes up devotional service. The soul, the Atma within who we are, begins to shine forward more and more. So with great devotees, this comes so powerfully. And here it is mentioned about Prahlad Maharaj. He was so advanced. He was in a situation of mature devotional service. These words are used here. Anubhava. Prabhupada actually goes into some technicality here. He gives a very generalized category. Of course, some of you have done the Bhakti Shastri and these types of exams where you study books like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhagavad Gita, and other books. And in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's explanation of these different levels of bhava. So bhava is a very high platform of advancement in devotional service. Generally, we start off with satsanga, sadhu sangha, and then we're trying to become anartha nivriti, get rid of our unwanted bad habits and so on and so forth. And so the higher stages of ruchi, lower and higher than shakti, they're not so easy to achieve. So, of course, and then one comes to the level of bhava. This is a preliminary, and then if actually one comes to the level of bhava, here the term sthāyi bhava is used, sthāyi bhava, and Prabhupada explains it very nicely. He says that sthāyi bhava, anubhava, and mahabhava. Sthāyi bhava, continual perfect love of God, it is called sthāyi bhava. Now, this is a very much described, if you read in Caitanya Caritamrita, in Madhya Lila, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Rupa Goswami in Prayag. I've been to Prayag a few times, of course, and now I think is it gone back to Prayag, or is it still called Allahabad? Right. Is it gone back to Prayag? It's gone back, right, yeah. So when I went there, it was Allahabad. I don't know when it went back, but anyway, that was the original Prayag, place of many yajnas. And so the Triveni, the confluence, a very holy place. Kumbh Mela is held there every so many years. And a very, very holy place. So there, Rupa Goswami received instruction from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 10 continuous days. And Lord Chaitanya started to describe a devotional service. He said that the length and breadth of devotional service is practically unlimited. He said it's practically unlimited. The length and the breadth of it is practically unlimited. And I will describe and give just a drop of it. He started in that way. I'll describe just a drop of it, because actually the length and breadth of it is deep and unlimited. So then he began to speak, and he started off very broadly talking about living entities, liberated souls, conditioned souls. And then he started to talk about the conditioned souls and different forms of life, 8,400,000 species of life. And then he said, of those species of life, there are just a few that are human species. 400,000 out of the 8,400,000 are human species. And out of those 400,000 species of life, not so many are considered civilized. Those who are civilized are following the Vedic principle. So Lord Caitanya started off very broadly, and then he began to narrow it down. And he said that and of the Vedic principles, mainly those who follow Vedic principles, mainly they follow Karma Kanda section of the Vedic principles, where they perform things and they're expecting, they worship the god, they do yagya rituals, so many things, and they're expecting some results, some fruits back for their own gratification in the world. So mainly of the ones who follow the Vedic principles, they follow Karma Kanda. But there are some who go more to the Jnana Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. They go, very few go that way. They're interested in liberation. So out of those who are interested in liberation, even fewer, one may become a devotee. So he breaks it down like that, how rare it is to become a devotee. And then if one is fortunate enough to actually become a devotee by the mercy, by sadhu sangha, and then he quotes Brahmanda Brahmati Kona Bhagavanaji, he says that if one is fortunate, one comes across and comes in contact with a bona fide guru and gets the bhakti ladha bij, the seed of devotional service. And if one performs devotional service very nicely under his direction, then the creeper, from the seed, the plant, the creeper comes up. And then Lord Caitanya talks about how to protect the creeper from unwanted creepers, how to water the plant, and so on and so forth. I think Banu Maharaj was talking a little bit about that when he was here last week. So Lord Caitanya talks about the same thing, that you have to do that. And as it grows and grows and grows, then it goes to a fully developed tree. And then, of course, the tree, the leaves, the flowers, and the topmost is the fruits. And the fruits, the fully ripened fruits. Then he starts to talk about the different levels of bhava. And there's so many unlimited levels of this bhava, love of God. When you come to, anati nivriti, and then you can come up higher to ruchi, some sort of taste, and then ashakti, complete detachment, you start to develop bhava. And of course, the beginning levels, it's called the sthayi bhava. It's when you come to the bhava and you are continuously, in an uninterrupted way, in meditation on the Supreme Personality of God. This is generally categorized as sthayi bhava. Some description is there that it's like the rising sun's rays in the morning. It's just coming up. In other words, the bhava is just coming up. This is an example given of what is sthayi bhava in the beginning of sthayi bhava. In the beginning. And then, of course, in that sthayi bhava, there's rati. There's deep. Rati means deep attachment. So there's all sorts of levels. And I was looking through again. I mean, that was a while ago since I read completely Nectar of Devotion. But there are all sorts of sub-levels of sthayi bhava, continuous love of God. Now, Prabhupada mentions here Anubhava and Mahabhava. And he does say here, very interestingly, that Mahabhava is only exhibited amongst the pleasure potencies, the direct pleasure potencies of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meaning the residents of Vrindavan, especially in Mathura like that, especially the Mahabhava. And the top, then there's all sorts of level of Mahabhava. The topmost level, of course, is found in Srimati Radharani, and she has a level of Mahabhava that even Krishna doesn't have. And that's why he came as Lord Caitanya, to taste especially. And this level is called Madan, Madan Navya. What is it? Madanakya. Madan, of course, means a type of madness. And a story is told in regard, just to illustrate what is this mood that only Radharani has. Only Radharani has this Madanakya bhava. Even Vishaka, Lalita, the other gopis, they don't have this. Krishna doesn't have it. Only she has it. And it's a subcategory of Sthayi Bhava, or different flavor of Sthayi Bhava. There's all these different categories. There's so many different types of Bhava. And her level of it, the example is given that one story is told that one time Srimati Radharani was sitting on the lap of Krishna at Prem Sarovara in Vrindavan. And at that time there was a bumblebee that was circling Radharani's head. So Krishna was a little annoyed that this bumblebee was disturbing Srimati Radharani. So he got a stick and chased the bumblebee away. Then he said to Radharani, he said that Madhusudan has gone. Right? Meaning the bee. There's the name Madhu. The bee. Madhusudan has gone. And when Radharani heard that, because another name for Krishna is Madhusudan, she just heard that and she fainted. She fainted unconscious. She fainted unconscious. She thought that Krishna was saying he's going away. So she fainted unconscious. So she has this Madanakya bhava or prema. So only she has it. And Krishna doesn't have it. So one of the flavors of bhava that Krishna wanted to taste, especially only found in Srimati Radharani, it is Madanakya bhava. And we see in the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how, especially in the last days at Jagannath Puri, he was going in a type of madness, exhibiting the mood of Srimati Radharani in this Madan. Madan means a type of madness, Madanakya bhava. So he came to taste that. He came to taste that. Krishna wanted to taste what Srimati Radharani tasted. Only she tasted. So this is the highest level of this bhava. And others have all different types. Now here in one section of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's stated that there are actually the Sthayi Bhava, when one can actually get to this Sthayi Bhava, and then Rati comes, and then continuous meditation without any other thoughts. There's a very high level, and there are different stages. And under that, or within that, here is mentioned 49 different bhavas. 49 different bhavas incorporated in this Sthayi Bhava. And so it is what's called Anubhava. For example, Prabhupada mentions Anubhava. And Anubhava refers to the actions that display or reveal the spiritual emotions of the heart. Anubhava is an expression of emotions by way of dance, by song, by laughter. And here it is mentioned there are 13 Anubhavas. Nritya, dancing, it's a type of Anubhava. Viluntita, rolling on the ground. Gita, singing. Krishana, loud crying. Tanumotana, writhing of the body. Hunkara, roaring. Jrimbana, yawning. Spasa bhuya, breathing heavily. Loka anupekshita, giving up concern for public image. Lalachrava, salivating. Atahasa, loud laughter. Guruna, staggering about. Hika, a fit of hiccups. I especially noted that one. It's not like our hiccups. That's transcendental hiccups. And, yawning. There's a transcendental emotion of yawning. It's not like we all yawn. And usually we're tired, we have to go to bed or something. But this yawning is a transcendental emotion. It's considered an anubhava. It's considered an anubhava. Now, keep in mind that Prabhupada said Mahabhava really is only exhibited between the great pleasure potencies. So ordinary living entities really can't attain that level of Mahabhava, especially, of course, Madanakya Bhava as exhibited by Srimati Radharani. So this is, and now, of course, there's another one, Vyabhichari. Vyabhichari is expressed in words and gestures. There are 33 such emotions known as Sanchari Bhavas. self-disparagement, despondency, humility, sorrow, exhaustion, arrogance, doubt, pride. So, fear. There's a type of fear in the spiritual world. Impulse, raving, forgetfulness. Now, we have these feelings in this world, and one could think, well, what's different about the spiritual feelings and these feelings? Well, these feelings just keep us entrapped in this world, where these other transcendental feelings, they're not actually comparable. They're a very, very high level of love that's manifest coming from the heart. And so, although they have the same name, they're completely, they're incomparable. You cannot compare. But we have them, we manifest them in this world because it is said that all the activities and it's a reflection. It's a very perverted reflection. And as you go down lower in the modes of material nature, the perversion will be even greater, especially those in the mode of ignorance. The perversion of laughter, or even fear and hate and all these things, and so perverted, so twisted, as exhibited by those in the mode of ignorance. So we have all these different levels. You can read about Sambhoga, meeting. Radharani has certain emotions and bhavas when she meets Krishna. It's called Sambhoga. And then Vipralamba, when in separation. And even this Sambhoga, there's all a different, I think there's different types of Sambhoga, 6 or 7 different types. I remember reading 6 or 7 different types of meeting with Krishna. And these are described by the acharyas. Oh, it's practically unlimited. So when Lord Caitanya said to Rupa Goswami, the length and breadth of devotional service is practically unlimited, and I will just describe to you just a drop. Just from this just short presentation of the different types of bhavas, we can just get an inkling of, even on these high levels, what diverse kind of moods and emotions and feelings and acts and words are expressed, and there's so many different types of them. It's unlimited. So, of course, to come to this level is not so easy. But Prahlad Maharaj, he was in the mature state of devotional service, as Prabhupada says here. A mature state. Oh, no, well, actually in the verse. Due to mature devotional service, he will be situated in transcendental ecstasy. So he's always in transcendental ecstasy because he was in a matured state. Of course, sometimes we feel ecstasy. It's like almost a shadowy ecstasy compared to the real ecstasy when one is very, very elevated devotee. And we only know about this from the descriptions given by the acharyas. Only those who are situated can actually know about these emotions and different actions and so on and so forth. But we're very fortunately for us, we can at least read and we can have some idea by the descriptions given. So he is in a very mature state. So he's always in ecstasy. And because of that, he's always fixed in a meditation. It's just almost inconsequential. It's just a natural consequence that he'll go back home, back to Godhead when he quits this material world. It's just a given. It's just a given. He's in a matured state. He's always in transcendental ecstasy. When it's time to give up the body, he'll go directly to the Vaikuntha. Now, Prahlad Maharaj was doing in his deep meditation on a very high level. Prabhupada does say at the end of his purport that, of course, in Kali Yuga, we can't imitate someone like Prahlad Maharaj. We can take inspiration and try to follow in the footsteps of such great devotees according to our ability. But for us, main thing as given in this age, of course, is chanting, hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord, especially recommended in the age of Kali. So Prabhupada goes through in his purport and he gives all these higher levels, but at the end he says, more or less says, for us, hearing and chanting, we have to just concentrate on that and just humbly go about those activities and just patiently do our devotional service. And when Krishna desires, he will bestow more and more mercy on us and give us that more and more advanced level of transcendental ecstasy and transcendental love. So I'll read this verse again. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. So we've got a couple of minutes. If anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment. Yes, sir. In? Oh, right, because he had Kayadu. Right? He took Kayadu. He took Hiranyakashipu's wife because the demigods wanted to. They wanted to arrest her. And they didn't want her to give birth to any. They were fearful of the child. Yeah. So while there in his ashram and while he was in the womb, that's what you're saying, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So in that sense, we can understand Prahlad Maharaj was a self-realized soul at the time of birth, but is there any information who Prahlad Maharaj's original identity is, or what his background before that birth is?
Well, his background, the original identity, he's an eternal associate in the Vaikuntha with Lord Nrsinga in his Vaikuntha abode. The story there's other stories about Vashu Sham, there's a devotee, there's others who mixed in with the eternal Prahlad and they were given an opportunity due to past leelas. No, I won't go into all. There's a couple of stories like that. There was a couple of devotees who mixed in. They were not the Nityasiddha Prahlad, but sometimes it so happens that there can be in one body a few living entities there, an arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's those stories, but you're talking about the original there. That's he's Nityasiddha in the spiritual, in the Vaikuntha. Yes, one final question. Yes. Someone over here.
I was thinking, Maharaj, that this whole pastime with you were talking about we have to be patient. And I was thinking this whole pastime begins because Diti sort of succumbed to impatience. And I was thinking, like, I've taken that sort of feeling that we have to be patient. I've taken it so casually and suffered because of it.
Yeah, you're talking about yourself, and all of us really. I mean, in patience, we just have to have that sense gratification. Right? Even we're devotees, we're engaging in devotional service, but we smell something, we see something, we hear something, and we have to go there and indulge in it. That's due to, and it has to be done now. That's impatience. Yeah, even the Kamis have that saying, right? Patience is a
virtue.
Patience, even amongst the materialists, they know about that. Patience is a virtue. Even in material life, patience is a virtue. So it's certainly in devotional service, patience. So due to our impatience, and this whole thing, Didi, impatience. Of course, she's a great demigoddess and she's very advanced. It's just there is also the influence of the Supreme Lord in his Leela there. But nevertheless, we can learn lessons in different ways in regard to this story. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.